Good morning, students. Moral thought. Sometimes the smallest action weigh heaviest on your heart. That action may be positive or negative. You must be remembering some of the incidents of your life. Though you was very small at that time, you remember those small actions. They had made a deep footprint on your heart. Okay, do you remember something like that? Maybe. So these actions, though they are small, they create a footprint on our life. So every action, whatever we are performing, we should be careful about it because that may cause its effect. So we will always try to have its positive effect so that we can be a successful person. Okay. In this lesson, we had studied or we had revised the lesson, we can say, about the ecosystem. What is meant by ecosystem? What are the different types of ecosystem and the interactions that takes place between the biotic and the abiotic factor? Now we will see, though biotic and abiotic factors are interrelated with each other, how the flow of energy occurs. In the previous lesson, you had studied the classification of organism. Okay. Therein we had seen that organisms are classified not only on the basis of habitat but also on the basis of their food habits also. Okay. So organisms are dependent on each other for food also. So you know that from your fifth standard you are knowing that food, when it is digested, it gives us the energy. So as the organisms are dependent on each other for the food, the energy flow is also occurs there. So here we are going to study the flow of energy in an ecosystem. How the energy flow. You know, nutrition that producers produce the food, plants, green plants, by process of photosynthesis. These green plants are used by consumers. Consumers may be herbivores, carnivores, or maybe omnivores. Then saprophytes and then decomposers. Accordingly, the organisms are dependent on one another. Come to this chart. As the producers are, means green plants are producing the food by the process of photosynthesis, primary consumers are the herbivores. What are herbivores? Herbivores are the animals that are dependent on plants for their food. Means plant eating animals are called the herbivores. Example, grasshopper, squirrel, elephant, etc. They are directly dependent on the plants, on the autotrophs. Then secondary consumers, they are called as carnivores. Carnivores means the animals that are dependent on the herbivores. Carnivores are eating the plant eating animals, they are not directly eating the plants. Okay, such animals which eat the plant eating animals are called carnivores. We can say the primary consumers also. Sorry, secondary consumers. Primary consumers are the herbivores. Example, frog, owl, fox, etc. Okay. Then these secondary consumers are eaten by the top consumers like tiger, lion. Okay, they are eating the animals. Which animals? Deer, fox, owl. They are eating to these animals to the secondary consumers. Okay. These consumers use herbivores. They are using to the herbivorous animals also, as well as to the carnivorous animals as their food. No other animals feed upon these top consumers. It is very important thing that no one can eat to the top consumers. These top consumers die and then they decompose. Next is omnivores. Omnivores means they are dependent on the plants and the animal for their food. Example, humans, bear, they eat plant as well as animals as their food. Okay. So in this way, variety of organisms you are finding how they are dependent on each other. These organisms are dependent on the other for their food. But herein you had seen they are dependent on each other for food only. So if they are passing the food, what about the energy? Energy is also passing from one organism to the another here. Okay, about it in detail